It is trajectory check time for the LSU Tigers and what they did in the 2022 season. Trajectory is not about where you are, it's where you're going. We got to talk about it because in year one for LSU, the expectation was let it simmer a little bit, let them figure it out. It might be a little bit of a trial by fire than the SEC. That's okay. Brian Kelly heard all that talking, nodded his head. They proceeded to win 10 games. Folks, the over-under in Vegas was 7. So if you took the over, congratulations and appreciate you cash in on that money in the good faith of the Tigers. But here's the deal. Right now at LSU, they are ahead of schedule. Now, ahead of schedule is a very good thing. It's never a bad thing to be ahead of schedule, but I think there's some things that we need to talk about as it relates to the future for LSU. Because in 2022, you slayed some dragons, man. 2 top 10 wins, beat Ole Miss, beat Alabama, going for 2. Brian Kelly trusting his guys, no fear. I love everything about where this program is right now. The expectation, I would imagine, externally and internally, is let's get back to Atlanta. Let's go back and finish the trip. Let's win the SEC. Why not? We got there in year 1. Why should we take a step back in year 2? It's a fair argument. We'll talk about that more in just a second. If you're not yet subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, we got the hard count for you every single day. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Come hang out with us. This is your show. The beautiful thing about this, it's a community. We all love this game so much, so we get to talk about it every single day. So we appreciate you in advance for subscribing and being a part of that community. If you have not yet, also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Piquel. Great mediums for us to interact some more, have a good time, and there's also content there that will go on those platforms that we don't do here. So we appreciate you for that as well. LSU has solidified itself, in my mind, as a force in the SEC. I don't believe that's a question for anybody else. The reality for LSU is they're still a very young football team. And I'm not talking about roster, I'm talking about culture. Brian Kelly's going into his 2nd year there. And you look at what happened last year, they had 4 games that were decided by 1 score. 4. Now, they were 3-1 in those games, the one being the loss to Florida State, where the extra point got blocked. We won't relive it. Don't worry, we're not talking about that right now. But I think there's a conversation that needs to be had. There's a very real possibility that LSU is just a 10-win team under Brian Kelly. Like, that's who they have the possibility to always be. Say always loosely, but you hear what I'm saying. Like, this is the level they're going to play at for the future. That's possible. The other possibility is they have a couple of those 1-score games go sideways. And let's say if they go 2-2 last year, let's say the 2-point conversion against Alabama, something happens to where they don't convert that. Is LSU a less good football team? Are we thinking less of LSU? Should we think less of LSU? Internally, is LSU different? No. It's 1 rep. Now, you feel a lot better saying your team won 10 games than you do if your team had won 9. But the fact of the matter is, there is still a lot of growth happening internally, I believe, at LSU. And how they grow this offseason, how they progress in their culture, I think will be the differentiating factor for how we talk about them this time next season, what they did in 2023. And here's the best picture I could paint for LSU right now and how we should view them. If a child stands up after only crawling and walks 3 steps, then falls down, you don't just expect it to go out and walk on its own. You're not saying, great, you're grown now, go do what you got to do. No, it's still young. It's still a child. You're encouraged. 3 steps is awesome. It's on the right track. It's a good thing. It will be walking very, very soon. But to assume that child should go and start walking around the neighborhood and taking the dog for a walk, that would be silly. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but it would be foolish to assume that the small sample size of 3 steps walking is going to translate to that child just being good to walk around on its own. Now, LSU, I think, did the 3-step version, maybe a little more than 3 steps last year. LSU walked a lot last year. But to assume that's just 100% how they're going to be the rest of the way, I think is jumping the gun just a little bit. They could take a step back. They could win only 8 games next year. And I wouldn't think less of Brian Kelly as a fit at LSU or where LSU is headed. Because where they're headed, the trajectory, where they're going to be, is winning national titles. You say, why? Last 3 guys have done it. There are resources to do it. They got the right guy to do it. Brian Kelly came to LSU winning around 80% of his football games. I understand the SEC is a beast. Well, he played for an SEC title in year 1. So if that's year 1, in year 4, year 5, I'm expecting us to start doing some really good things from LSU. And they put enough into it to have those expectations. If you have expectations, you got to have the resources to back that up. And LSU has the resources. LSU puts as much into it as anybody in the country. And that's why Brian Kelly is there, to be frank with you. LSU said, we want to get a guy to win national titles. Let's go get one of the most winningest coaches right now, at least, at the Power 5 level, at an elite level, in Brian Kelly. And you saw the early returns in year 1. So 2022, ahead of schedule, it was a movie. I loved it. You loved it. I think it's headed to great places. I think national championships are on the horizon in Baton Rouge if you stick to the script. And the script may, in fact, in reality, be 9 wins next year. It could be 8 wins next year. Trust the process. Let it bake. A child, a first-year team, was walking last year. Don't be upset if that child stumbles a little bit and is still learning to walk, is what I'm trying to tell you. But LSU, like I said, I truly believe national championships are in the future for this program if they keep trending the right direction and do the right things on the recruiting trail and the portal and do right by Brian Kelly. But I'm excited to watch it, man. Should be a whole lot of fun. We appreciate you watching us, man. This is The Hard Count. We're live on Tuesdays. We're live on Thursdays, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. This is the People's Show. Nick, break, lifting heavy. This is y'all's operation. This is a show. Yes, we got a mic, we got cameras, we got a set. This is a community. We all love this sport so much, and we get to talk about it every single day. That's why it's a beautiful thing. So come join the party, join the community, subscribe, and let's just keep building this thing forward. We're going to continue to get after it. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.